Before we draw our parts, for the Watts parts, let's take a look and see what information we're given. First of all, you'll see on the cut sheet, I've chosen to do the 1-inch size right here. And that gives me an A dimension from the end of the valve to the end of the valve of 14.5 inches. The L dimension, which is the main working part of the valve, the L dimension is 9.5. And that leaves this is a mirror image of this. So it's 5 inches left. So that's 2.5 inches each. And I can kind of describe this valve, it's a ball valve, as a rectangle and a rectangle and a rectangle. 3 rectangles. And I have an estimate. At least it takes up the right shape. Here I've got a rectangle, and a couple more rectangles. And here I've got a mirror image about that. So that's what I'm going to try to get done. I'm going to try to do that. Now, when I look at this, if this is 9 inches from here to here, okay, from end to end, then this is about 1/3 of that. So this dimension is going to be 3. So it's 3 by 9.5. 3 by 9.5. The main valve. And that's the main thing I need to do. And this looks like it's just a little bit less. I don't really need to worry about it too much. I'll draw in something that looks right. And then I've got from the center line up is 3. This is not a dimension we have to worry about, the D dimension, so you can just estimate it. And then if this is 3, it looks like about half of that. So that's going to be 2.5 by 1.5 for the ball valve. So those are my main numbers, and everything else will sort of work off of that. Those are my estimates. And then I can just go and make some rectangles. And if you have time, you should go back in and get as much just detail fleshed in as you can. But we for sure need to get the end-to-end dimensions right and the overall envelope. The next one, I'm going to pick the same size. Here it is, the 1-inch size. It's 4.5 long, the A dimension. And this is 2 5/16, 2.31. Now what I see here is a rectangle. And again, if this is 4.5, this looks like about 1/3 of that. So I'm going to call it, I'll call it 1 1/4, maybe a little over 1/3. So I think the main valve is 4.5 by 1.25. And then I look at this piece, the strainer part, it looks an awful lot like that, but I just put a copy of it there and I rotated it down until it hit a line that was 2.37 away. So that would give me my sort of rough work at being able to get this into the correct size. So that's where I'm going to go to get my part drawings started. Let's see what I can do with that now. All right, so I've got my exemplar open. I'll make a new one. And I'm going to put these, what does it tell me to do? Does it tell me to put them on the same drawing or they both go on the same drawing? So I'm going to save this as something called Watts valves. File, save as. Need to be in week 5. Landscape, here we go. Watts valves. So looking at my first one. Oh, so I need to get my layers. I'm just going to take them all. Okay, so now I have my layers. And the main stuff goes on something called the thick layer. And remember, I've set my line weights so that they're inches. Okay, I should set my units to be architectural inches. And I think I'm going to get a little bit more precision about my angle. Okay, that was typing the word units, enter, setting it for architectural. And I've set my thick layer as the one I'm going to draw on. So I've got a rectangle that's 9.5 by 3. And then there's some sort of a rectangle that's sort of from the middle a little bit, kind of crosses it up. And then there's a rectangle sort of there. And then the last one is over on the end. And I do happen to know what all these are for. This was a product I was very, very involved with. And so this one, I can trim that away. Little piece. There we go. And that looks okay for now. And then my other one was 2.5 by 1.5. And I'll make sure I have my midpoint set because I'm going to be working with midpoints. Oh, that should have been a copy command, not a move command. So that doesn't take you long. And at the very, very minimum, I have a drawing that I can work with that is the right and proper and appropriate size. Okay, so there's my first one. I'm going to do a quick save. And that's on the thick layer. And then on my next, so this doesn't take too long, I'm going to oh, you know what? I didn't do these ones quite right. I'm going to put something that looks a little bit different here. That should have offset 3. Oh my gosh, I estimated that right on, didn't I? Amazing after you've drawn this often enough what you get. And now, so I've got most of that there. And now I'm just going to I'm going to go back the other way because it's about the same amount. And that's where my other handles will be. I'm going to put my handles on the thin layer. And I'll just do a quick copy of all that. I should have done a mirror. It would have looked better. And now what's cool is I can turn off my center line and I've got it. Now, you may choose to put more details in to make it look closer and closer and closer to what it needs to be, but that's a good start. Now, my next one is the strainer. I'm going to put it in the same drawing and I'm just going to move it over. Okay, and now I will again go back to my thick. And I see one here that is 4.5 by 1.25. I'm going to put that center line back in there because I'm going to need to see that spot. Now I can copy and rotate about this point. Oh, hold on a sec. I need to do an offset of 2.31. Should have done that before. We'll do a copy. There we go. Now I can do my rotate at this point until it goes down and hits. And you can see it's very, very close to what the other one looks like. Okay? So if I want to, I can make, but this is a pretty good representation. I can trim away part of this. There we go. And in reality, when we look at it fully from the outside, this comes across perpendicular at 90 degrees to here. And the other parts of it sort of trim away. There we go. And again, I will turn off my center. I think came close with this. I may want to do just a little bit more. If I need to, I can draw a line across it. Well, I can just trim it. And then I know that I have it exact. And I can turn off my center line. So now I have my 009 and my LF777 save. Now I'm going to show you some real trick cool stuff. I'm going to put one on a layout, and I'm not going to put it on a title block yet. And I'm going to make sure that layout is 1-to-1. And it looks, no, I'm not going to make it 1-to-1. I'm going to make it 1=2. This is going to have to fit in a 6-inch box. Okay, so let me see. That's 8. So I need to shorten up the sides a little bit. I need this to fit in a 6-inch box. Going to have to go even more smaller. There we go, 5 7/8 by, make it just a little bit smaller. There, that fits in a 6-inch box. So now I need to get a good size. 1-to-4 is going to be a reasonable number. Lock. Go back to my paper. Now I can put my basic dimensions on it. 14.5. Ooh, I think I'd like to make it fractional maybe. Let's see what dim styles I've got. Decimal feet, standard, architecture. I can do architectural scale factor 1. Let's bring that in. Okay, and remember on the annotation, I can choose which dim style to use. And foot 2.5. 3 inches. 3 inches. Here we go. So I have the basic dimensions. I'm going to do one more really cool thing. Because of how we're going to use this later on, I actually want these in model space. I did it on the piece of paper so that my text would show up the right size. I'm going to do something really cool called export layout to model. Actually, I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to do something called change space. And I'm going to select all of these and hit enter. And you're going to see that they showed up in here. What's really cool is when I put that into my next model, I copy and paste it and squeeze it down to the right size to fit. It's all going to look right. So what did I do again? I went to my piece of paper. I scaled my viewport to some normal scale and I put my dimensions on it. Then I typed CH for change space. Change space. And I put my text directly into here. You won't really get the benefit of that until a little later on. Okay, so now this one, I want to do kind of the same thing. I want to get this to a 6x6. That looks close enough. Has to fit inside. It doesn't have to be exact. Now let's try a 1 to 4. Let's try a 1 to 2 on this one. 1 to 2 seems to fit. Oop, pretty well. Lock it. And I'll put those same dimensions back on it again. Oops, I'm in the model. Need to be in my piece of paper. I think that was from the midpoint down to here, right? Now it doesn't say 15/16 because my fractions aren't going out far enough, but I said to go to the nearest 1/4 inch. That's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to do that change space again. CH, change space, enter. Let's go back to there they are. That's what I want. Save. So that's your watts valves for this project. Again, you can do more detail. You can make it look more like what the thing is, what it shows in the spec sheets. But this is sufficient for this class and for doing a construction submittal so that the engineer can check dimensions of installations. There we go.